God, I'm willing to give up my happiness. I don't need love in my life. I don't need friends. I know this is extreme, but just let me carry out this mission and I'll be happy.
Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at the Powder Room Talk.
Hello, I'm JJ Liu. Welcome to the Powder Room with me and my girlfriends, Viola Mananta and Regina Widjaja. The Powder Room is where it gets real. And today we're going to talk about the meaning of forgiveness and boundaries. With us today is Cinta Laura Kiehl, our dear friend, an actress and singer who has been in the entertainment industry ever since her youth, and she had garnered a lot of significant success in Indonesia. But behind all that glitz and glamour is the journey of a beautiful young woman facing all sorts of different struggles, and today that makes it very exciting for us to unpack this topic with Cinta. So, well, come on into the Powder Room.
Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. We're really excited to have you here. And to be honest, I think the topic today was inspired from a talk that we had end of 2020. You know, we were in a cafe and we were recapping our 2020. And we talked about a few things that really mattered to us in that year and really changed us in that year. And I remember you were talking about forgiveness. And so I thought I really want to go into this topic with you today because there's so many things that are not perceived the right way or maybe are misunderstood about what forgiveness means. And so, yeah, I'm excited that we talk about this today. Maybe a little bit of background about you, which I think most people don't know because everyone knows Cinta Laura.
No, but thank you.
I think, so you grew up in Germany and several other countries before actually coming to Indonesia.
Yeah.
And when you were about 12, you came to Indonesia and you straight away actually became quite famous in the entertainment industry. You were playing TV series, you even had your own show. That's how I know
Where we met.
Yes.
And if you guys are curious as to what show it was called Gaul Barang Bule. So she was a bule.
Maybe we should check it out on YouTube.
Yes, we should check it out on
If
YouTube.
they're still available.
Me neither. I don't know.
They're still available?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm gonna search about it. Maybe there is. Oh no.
Oh, yes. Check out, you know, teenage me and early 20s.
With very short hair.
Yeah.
She had a pixie cut.
Pixie
I thought she was like a model
platinum.
from Germany or something.
That's what my husband thought when he met me.
Apparently.
It was all a show. No. Yeah, so that's where we met. And then after that, you went to the States to study psychology and German literature in Columbia University. And then you actually started your career in the States. You were acting there.
Yeah.
And you actually built your life and career, and then you came back to Indonesia in 2019. So for today, the hotel has prepared for us some fantastic food. Like they really brought out their best selection, and I just love that some of these items are actually really healthy because our guest star today really loves healthy food. So we have some finger food and one of my favorites, and I love the dressing, is the green goddess salad. And here we have some sous vide salmon with turmeric coconut sauce. And for dessert, we're having organic Balinese chocolate with hazelnut feuillantine, palm sugar meringue, soursop, and edible flowers. It looks so beautiful, and it's really delicious. Thank you, Ayana, for serving us your best food. What actually, what moved you to come back here?
Ooh, I think this is going to be a long story to tell, and we'll have to really delve into it throughout the show. But I had my first big epiphany, so to speak, in 2018,
Okay.
where I don't know what happened, but overnight I suddenly realized, wait a minute, this world is globalizing. Technology is becoming more advanced. Why am I so focused on building my career here when there's so much I could do back in my home country, not only in the entertainment industry, but also on a social level?
Yeah.
And so in 2018, I suddenly had the inclination to want to move back. But it wasn't until 2019 where I felt extremely ready. And the reason being was because after having spent 8 years in the US, there was something that really stuck out to me. And that was how they would treat victims of sexual violence and abuse. In many first world countries, although it's not perfect, I'm not saying their justice system is perfect at all, but in most first world countries, when you become a victim of abuse or violence, the government would provide you with free lawyers.
Okay.
So free legal help. Social workers would literally be coming at you to help you recuperate mentally, physically, and on every level of life, so to speak.
Wow.
And then it occurred to me that although I know those services exist here too, I think, if I'm not mistaken, according to statistics, only 10% of victims in this country actually report the injustices that have happened to them.
spoke up, actually.
And out of the 10%, only 1% actually end up going to court and at least trying to fight for the justice they deserve.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, although there are already so many amazing activists in this country, there's no reason why there can't be one more. Because I do believe there is strength in numbers. And with the large platform I have and the amazing career God has bestowed, I felt the need and the obligation to come back because, even if things don't change drastically in my lifetime, I do believe that there is something I can do.
You planted
At
something
least
there.
that first step.
Yeah.
That first step to move in a better direction. Because think about it. Let's think about it in a calculative manner. 50% of this country, 50% of this world consists of women. If they don't grow up in a stable environment, if they don't live in a happy environment, how can they be productive members of society? If you want to think about it from an economic standpoint, this country's GDP can increase tremendously if women are given the same opportunity as men.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, take away, that greedy side of human nature and just think about human rights. I think as human beings, we all deserve a stable, happy life, regardless of your gender, because at the end of the day, gender means absolutely nothing. Even the roles that have been bestowed to us by society are all social constructs. Who is to say, for example, that women must wear dresses? Who is to say that women must cook? No.
We can, but we can.
We work it, but essentially, so, I've always been around very strong, independent women. And I felt like Indonesia needs more role models that make women believe that they can achieve whatever they want in life. And it's true, there are no limits. You create your own limitation. At the end of the day, Ibu Susi Pujiastuti once told me, liberate your mind.
True.
At the end of the day, you can do anything as long as you don't limit yourself. And limitations only exist in the mind.
The war in our mind.
The war is in your mind.
I struggle with that a lot, actually.
When you, so it was 2019 when you actually moved back here, right?
July 1st, 2019,
Oh, you
I
even-
landed.
wow,
Because it was such a pivotal point in my life. And I was still going through some sort of internal struggle because a part of me knew that my true calling in life, my true purpose is to use my platform, to use my fame to help others. Like, it was the first time in my life where I wasn't just thinking about me. Before that, it was always me. How can I get ahead? How can I be number one? How can I be above everything else? But I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy when all I was doing was trying to strive for perfection and strive for a rank, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was when I realized that I could use my powers for good to help those who couldn't help themselves. That's when I realized, oh, this is actually cathartic. This is actually making me feel whole.
Correct.
And so the internal struggle was, I knew that I needed to do that, but the other part of me was like, all my friends, people I call my second family, so to speak, live in the US.
Okay.
So I had to leave my social life behind. And this sounds really grim, and this is the first time I've ever stated it on camera, actually.
Yes.
But I remember telling myself a few weeks before moving back to Indonesia was, God, I'm willing to give up my happiness. I don't need love in my life. I don't need friends. I know this is extreme, but just let me carry out this mission, and I'll be happy.
And
wanna
that me. And Regina and I really love that we get to have this conversation today, because I think, you know, very often you don't get to share, you know, we don't get to have these like really real talks and share this kind of like, you know, and I really wonder, you know, to make such a pivotal decision in your life and to come back to a place that is home, but or on a journey to really, truly become a place of home for you, where you just said like most of your second family and your closest friends are, you know, elsewhere, you know, and how did that?
How did you?
How did that make you feel? And
It was very hard. I remember the first year I moved back to Indonesia. I would see Viola maybe like once a month. We'd have breakfast or lunch dates, and you know, I remember
bule chichi.
The bullet.
Chichi as well. Exactly. I would always be venting, and I realized that all I would do was tell her how miserable I was. And even though I was aware of it, and I would always tell Viola, I'm so sorry, I'm complaining, I'm so sorry, I'm venting. She had always been such a good friend, and she would always tell me it was okay.
Thank you.
But it took the pandemic, meaning this past year, 2020, for me to finally grow on a mental, spiritual, and emotional level. It was because of the amount of time I had to contemplate and reflect that I realized what had actually been going on the last 8 years I had been living abroad. Yes, I went to the US to pursue my education and, you know, attain the best education possible. Yes, I went to the US because I had always been truly passionate about my craft, that being acting and singing, but predominantly acting. But what I realized was, I didn't need to spend 8 years in the US. I could easily have done what I did in the US here, because with technology, I can always do my auditions first via a self-tape that I send to my agents in the US. And then if I move on to the next round, I could just fly to the US. I lived in the US for 8 years because, and this is something I realized last year around June, July, August, I was running away.
I was going to ask, were you running
from
away
the emotions
okay.
that I felt every time I would set foot in this country. And I only realized this also in November of 2020, because I know Viola saw a major shift in my behavior and mannerism when she met me in December. It's like something changed.
I noticed that too,
But I remember I would come to Indonesia 2 to 3 times a year between 2011 to 2019 to shoot ads, to film movies, to do work, essentially. But every time I would step out of the plane, I would feel as if I was on the brink of a panic attack.
Was there like a weight on you?
Hold on, I'm getting there. And at the time, I didn't have a house in Jakarta because my parents had moved to Bali already, so we would always stay at a hotel in the city center. And unless I was working, I did not want to leave my room, because every time I would walk out of my room, I felt immediately that people were analyzing my looks, judging my behavior, judging my words, and it was scary. And I realized that's why I always appeared unpleasant to people, or angry, or unfriendly. But it wasn't because I didn't want to be friendly or happy or sweet. I was just too in my head, and too, like, my heart would be racing every time I would leave the room, that it was hard for me to smile. And the reason for that, for those negative emotions, is because of the trauma I had experienced early in my career. That being people supposedly making fun of my accent. Although now that I'm an adult, I realize that a lot of them actually found it you know, entertaining, and they loved that about me. As a 12-year-old, 13-year-old child, how I perceived their reactions was that I thought they were mocking me, making fun of me, and it made me angry. And now, I mean, it's so nice to hear that, you know, for example, Viola's kids are blessed because even though they're mixed race, it's so normal to speak English 24/7, and even Indonesian kids now speak English better than they speak Indonesian. But I guess when I first surfaced into the scene, it wasn't common. I'm sure it existed. I'm sure there are plenty out there. They were just not exposed to the entertainment industry. So it seemed like my situation was an anomaly, although it wasn't. And so that was really tough for me because obviously the cyberbullying I experienced from the masses also translated to like verbal bullying at school.
Verbal bullying at school.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
what would they say? Like
The accent,
what,
probably.
when they were bullying you, what would it be like? Like give an example.
They're like sok bule, and I'm like, but my dad is bule, so I'm not being sok bule. Like half of what I am is European.
No, but I do remember because probably we said Lola and JJ, I was growing up in Indonesia, so I remember those moments. And before this talk was actually happening, and I heard from Lola on how much it hurt you as a teenager. You know, for us who was just like observing, we never realized on how much our words could hurt people. You know, and I feel bad for you now. I know. Because maybe at those time, I would be one of the person who think, oh, this lady, the same, probably, I'm so sorry, so bule at that time, without we even realizing she was half German and she just moved back to Indonesia. Of course, she couldn't speak Indonesian language, you know, the understanding was not there. And I'm sorry to you, you know, on behalf of my friends, or probably, you know, I would like to apologize if it hurts you so much in a way. Because I think people do not realize on how much it hurts people when you say it publicly, right? I even cried.
I was just like, I think like maybe just the virtue of this topic, like, you know, we want to unpack like forgiveness and setting up boundaries. I first and foremost, you know, I just really want to say I feel very proud of you that you are using your influence and, you know, like, you know you have a voice, and I love like how on social media. And I noticed the growth also in you, even the pastures and how you shared and the messages and the interviews that you do. There is that change because there's something happened on the inside of you, and your conversation starts evolving. And I love that you now, you know, you try to shift the conversations to encourage Indonesian women to speak up about all those issues that you said, like human rights, abuse, bullying, and I noticed that you started to separate Instagram accounts.